Good morning. It is not that close to 10:30 a.m., but we're 4 minutes off. It is Sunday morning, and that means it is time for Sunday Club, a weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where each week we build an application along at the same time. And yeah, apologies for running a little bit late this morning. And also, I have just jumped out of the shower, so if I look a little damp this morning, that's why. Apologies, but I was trying to get here even closely on time, so hopefully I can dry out through the course of this stream. Okay, so not a huge amount of follow-up. I was hoping to get some stuff done during the week on the stream, and I did, but I didn't stream it. And what I did was look into Bridgetown, which I am going to come back and do a stream about. I don't know if it'll be next week. We'll try and, again, I'm going to say this, I keep trying to do midweek ones. But specifically to build a landing page for the app that we're going to build. So actually start to build an actual website that people can go to for this app. I've been looking at some names and branding and things like that. And I already had some stuff for that knocking around. I want to kind of work backwards from a landing page. So this is something like, the approach to building a product where you actually start with the press release before you start with anything else. So you're able to define like, what is it? What's the value it's providing to anyone who uses it? Any other points that you want to hit, and having to kind of make that very succinct and get that point across is a really good thought exercise to work backwards to be like, right, okay, how am I going to build that? Is that the case? Who is this for? What's the point? Blah, blah, blah. And so I think I'm going to do the same thing with a landing page rather than the press release. So we can actually start to look at that on the stream as well. And also give it a name and give it a brand, and then we can kind of use that in the prototype. So we're not quite there yet with prototyping just because I'm only doing it on Sundays at the moment, but it wouldn't take long. It wouldn't take long before we wanted to get a brand or something like that in the in the prototypes and have those move along. Second bit of follow up. I thank you to people on Reddit on Streamlabs OBS subreddit. So I asked about the fact that we had to keep entering a game name for streaming, and it didn't used to be mandatory in Streamlabs OBS, and then it became mandatory. And they basically said you have to enter just chatting. They're like, if you can find something on there that is more specific. I couldn't find anything to do with Rails. I didn't look for any coding or anything. I'll see if I can find anything on Twitch. But you will now find this stream for now on Twitch under the just chatting category game. I don't know what to call that. Someone mentioned on Reddit that Twitch isn't really geared up for non-gaming streams as well because of its legacy, which is fair enough. So thank you to the people who replied. There was a few replies on there, which I super appreciate. And yeah, so now that's all taken care of. And let's just jump straight back in. That's a full 5 minutes of follow-up. Oh, well, no, a couple minutes of follow-up. So let's go and jump back into our application. Let's do what we came here to do. Oh, yeah, really came in hot this morning. I'm running a bit late. Let's zoom in on this, and actually let's bring up, where's VS Code and all of this? Here, it's just on my other screen, and it's got the Bridgetown repo again, which we'll look at another time. But let's bring this up here. Oh, no. That. We can actually take that out full screen. This. Oh, I'm going to ask on that Streamlabs thing as well this week. I think this stream could be higher resolution, and I don't know how to do that. I presume hopefully I could figure it out, but I might just ask on there because they'll be quicker than me at telling me how to do it. So since I moved, I have a faster internet connection, so I think we could make this stream higher resolution, and I'll find out how to do that too. Because I believe that the playbacks on YouTube will then get better as well. Right, let's recap our prototype. So we've got this events, admin events index page. So this is a component that is admin event list and admin event list items. And then you can click through to a list item, which is an event, and you click through to, let's make this smaller again, through to our events. And what we did here last week was we put this left-hand navigation in place, and we were talking about the this secondary navigation and the pros and cons of having it horizontal across the top, and also the ordering of it. And then we looked at Eventbrite for the priorities of how they did things like that. I think we might have done that the week before as well. And we mentioned that Stripe had redone their UI, and on this kind of fixed left-hand basis, we said, well, that what Eventbrite were doing was having a fixed left-hand nav and then having it as a full popover on mobile. So the menu was always the same and just popped in and out. And then you didn't have to worry about kind of spilling over onto the horizontal width stuff. So what we can do is I think kind of keep going on that. Let's so these didn't have any toggles on or anything, did they? These were just the high level ones from Eventbrite, I think. Manage attendees, order options, marketing reports, apps, in settings. So I think just open up another tab here. I'm just gonna see if we can get back into that same account. Just doing it on another screen in case I'm logged into like a different Eventbrite account or something like that. My own one. Not that there's anything too private in there. I don't use Eventbrite a huge amount, but let's see if I remember to store everything in one password. Hopefully I did. Just bear with me just a second. Hope you're all having a lovely day whenever you're rewatching this. Oh, I so did not remember to put it in one password. Okay. Just bear with me a minute. Also, oh no. Here we go. Yeah, I did remember. I just didn't remember to list. Oh, that's weird. I did remember to list. It just didn't show up. Okay, but I'm just looking into Eventbrite over here, so we can go and look at this admin area again. Oh, I think it's because you log in on a different subdomain. Hang on a second. There we go. So let's pull this back up here. Can I put that tab there? Yep. There. We bought tickets to our event. We also want to manage my events. Let's bump this size up a bit. Yeah, so we had this event listing page, events, orders, and marketing with the highest level nav, and then we went into our event. Quite stark now that I look at it again. Oh, that's that stupid thing from that plugin. This thing in the bottom right, I want to get rid of that. So dashboard, order options, marketing. Manage. Oh, so we moved manage attendees up. Yeah, because that was right at the bottom. I think that was the last change we made. Marketing reports, apps, privacy settings. Apps, privacy settings. Privacy settings, and then settings. Yeah, I think. Yeah, okay, so let's start to turn this into something for us then. So we can get rid of apps because that's an Eventbrite thing. They have, did you say they had dashboard on the left? Okay, so let's keep that idea going. Again, you want to get... Oh, this was... not... Oh, yeah, sorry, but I was testing that. But how do I get rid of this thing? This is really annoying. That's like... Sorry about this. This is like a ad blocker thingy that someone had. Turn that off. So dashboard will take you to the dashboard for the event. Manage attendees. Further down, because they had all of their basic details up at the top. Basic info. Tickets and publish. So you could have And details, maybe? Again, not sure how much we want to dive into the actual wording. Just going to kill a few of these apps in the background. Because there's loads of stuff going on here. Just got too much stuff open. Too much stuff open. Okay. Dashboard event details, because then that can't... They leave these up all the time. It's interesting. Sorry, I have a hay fever. So it's interesting that they treat this as an onboarding. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then as you complete each one, you get a tick. But then they just leave it as persistent, which I think is really interesting. So your onboarding flow is always available. I've never really seen that before. Maybe I have, and I've just never noticed. The plus side of that is I've built wizards or onboarding flows before where you go through the flow and then the UI that you show the user is different in the settings. So that the first time they fill it in, so let's say details. When I fill this in here as part of the onboarding flow, this might suddenly be in a UI with 3 other different options when it goes into like event settings or something. Whereas having it the same during the onboarding flow as it is when you drop back into it is really consistent for the user. I actually really like that. And just leaving these here, I think, is possibly a really good shout. Because your other option is to say, have in your admin UI, have like we would have events, and then up in the top right, we would have like create new event. And that would take you through a wizard of some sort. Or like a step-by-step. And then you are dumped into the event. So we go through it, we click, let's add some sort of thing for index up here. We would have like a... New event. Oh, I thought button got styled. The button got styled. Is that just an iOS? Okay. So we don't have any styling at all, do we? Don't have anything installed. Did we put Tailwind in here? I genuinely can't remember what we did. I don't think we did. Okay. Let's just add something real quick to make it a bit of a button-y thing. Let's make it like let's have a purple button. Does that make it look like a button? No, just color, isn't it? Okay, cool. Oh, that looks like just giving. Oh, okay. I accidentally made that brand. Okay, cool. So create new event would take us over to, let's put that over in the top right. Okay, and we're just making super messy stuff. We don't care because we're just prototyping here. Okay, so we would have some sort of action button. Again, we assume over it up in the top right. Create a new event. Great. Drop into an onboarding flow. Step 1, tell us something. Step 2, tell us some more stuff. Step 2, 3, tell us some more stuff. Dump them into the event. Boom. Go into here. The stuff that you have just offered them is now available somewhere in this left-hand option. What this thing does is make it because this was numbered during your onboarding, if you remember where it is and you get the same experience while you're in there. And also, presumably, when we went in there, we could drop out at any point into these other ones. So if I go to just create new event, I'll do from there. I have to get fully back out. I have to go back to events, basically. There or there. Okay. And then I can go create event. Do I get the entire left-hand nav or just those 4? Oh, I get none of them. Oh, that's... Okay, so... So in my event here... Maybe that's not the case. Maybe they're tricking me as a user in a really good way. So, basic info. Is it all of this? And location? Oh, it is. Okay, right. Sorry, ignore that. No, they are doing that. Okay, so this is all of step 1. Okay, so test event 2. Okay, great. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff. Don't really care. Save and continue. Please fill out all required fields. Okay. Oh, we filled this out and then it kept trying to put it in the wrong place, didn't it? We had to just pick some random thing. Oh, test venue, because I've already got that one. Okay, great. Right. Okay. So the first step, it hides that nav, and from this point, it's actually created the event. It's got the ID, and now I get tick for the first completed step, which is creation. 2, 3, 4 are now always available, but I can immediately negate them by dropping into the full nav. So I can go immediately to like add to Facebook. Just with the... Okay, that's really good. So my onboarding flow is always here. But I can drop out if I want to. Any progress meter or anything like that? Like this could have a little... Oh no, because if you... I think you could add a progress meter, and like you need to have ticket information before you can flog the tickets, I guess. But like I said, that solves the problem. Like I said this the other week on the stream. This mechanism solves the problem of not most, that's wrong. Some, I don't know what percentage. Some people don't have all of the details they need for an event when they come to set the event up or need to start promoting it or get a URL or something like that. They have some information. Again, I'm not being quantitative about anything. So they're like, well, we know the name, the logo, the date, and the venue. The venue's not, the event's not for 9 months, so who cares about the details? But we need to have a link that we can point people to and start making posters, QR codes, all of that stuff. So I just with those basics get me a URL and the ability to push it to Facebook, and that's what this mechanism does. So I like that. Okay, so how are we going to translate that? What are we going to do about it? Let's lift out that second nav from that this thing up here. This can go. Where did we put that? Is that in an event nav now? Right, that could get replaced by this, right? Why is there a div? Oh, okay, that div is for... I'm assuming that div is needed for this to run. Hi, okay, so let's take this out here. Put that in event nav. And then this doesn't make any sense because you wouldn't have that partial because it would need the container, but whatever. Let's come back to that. So this should now render down the left. Then if we go, did we have anything else? Yep, that's gone. Click through, get that. Great, okay. Now, all this is a slightly different UI on 4 menu items. Because you could just as easily have tickets, event details, just like I was about to add up here. Event details, tickets, and publish. And publish. Yeah, they have got enough options there to justify full screen, I guess. Who can see it? Schedule the publishing. This kind of settings. So that, what's in privacy settings then, if that's not? Private public, anyone with link only. Private public, anyone with a link. That's the same set of settings. That's interesting. That's obviously a big enough deal that putting it under publish alone wasn't enough. They've deemed that necessary. Either that's a thing where it hasn't just been cleared out of one of them, or they actually deem it important enough to have on the publish page and have its own settings page. I feel like privacy is probably important enough to have twice. Cool. Okay, so this, but as I'm saying, this is basically just, it feels really semantically different, but then that they could easily just as easily fit under these, and publish could go in the top right or something as a consistent button, where you go through to publish options or something like that. So we could kind of, I was just thinking, like, could you have those across the top as a little progress meter all the time? As to kind of lift them out of that same menu bar. Okay, so let's put them in. So we've got tickets. Event details is basic info. Details. And they've separated those out. So how many fields are we talking about here? There was like 4 in here. 1. And basic info was the barest minimumist bits of details you needed to get the event out the door. Details is only 2 fields, and they have separated that out. This has an entire block editor. It's not 2 fields. It's 1 field, but one of them is a block editor, which can be as complex as you want it to be. Okay. I've seen other ones that other event software where they have like manage your page, like rather than just having details, they allow you to brand loads of stuff on that page. I think Eventbrite really locks you down there, which I don't. One of the bits of feedback we used to get a lot was like the branding on the page was something they really wanted to do because things like Facebook and I guess now Eventbrite don't let them do. Like they as event organizers don't get a lot of control over that. Event details, that could be an info or something like that. And again, that could go, but we could do the same thing. Tickets. Then if I go to dashboard, is there a big publish button on here? The event isn't published, like on this one. No, but it is up here. So that's persistent nav. So that is both there and always here. Yeah, I think they're keeping it here as part of that flow for creation. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's always here in case you need it. The idea being is that you can get in 1, 2, 3, 4, get your event out. But you could also run like a progress bar across the top and have publish as the last step. and then remove that progress bar once the event is live and put them into an editing thing. But then they're like, oh, where did the navigation go? Oh, this is so good. Like, I love stuff like this. Just go around in circles on this stuff all day. And again, in reality, if you're Eventbrite, you just run a bunch of experiments because you've got millions of users, and so you can just work out what people really respond to. But I got no users, I've got no app, so we can just play around. Okay, so event details, tickets. Let's leave it like that. So what have they got? They've then got published there. And event info covers. They've got basic info here, and details here. But you could have. That could then be something like customize event page or something like that. Let's just put everything in there, event info. It's take publish out as well for now, because that could just be a button at the top. Don't know anything about any of these because we don't have. That could just go as well. For now, because we don't know what any of these things is. The other thing that we wanted to put in here is manage groups. And we talked about, would you have, as we want to focus on group registrations, would we have groups as a first, like as a sibling in the hierarchy to, like at the same level as attendees? Or would you still have to go into manage attendees, then groups? Let's build the sub nav for these out, because that was what we looked at on here. You can then toggle these down. Let's build that. Let's do it without any kind of toggling to start with, but let's get into our view components a little bit and see how we do this in view component. So what we said was it would be cool to have. Oh, what we actually said it would be cool to have like a little. Oh, I took a screenshot of it last week. Where's that? That is somewhere on my desktop, I think. Yeah. To have like these little sub navs here above it. Oh my god, we did loads of stuff. Why didn't I save any of this from last week? This is really good. I'm such an idiot. Okay. People orders attendees. Yeah, but it doesn't do what theirs does, which just give us that. Oh, these could all. That can go. That can go. These two can stay at the top like Eventbrite style. They can all go. They've just removed those all together. Okay, cool. Let's build out a component that's this, and then this level has subnav somehow. Okay, so what is that called? That is going to be called admin. Oh no, it's the wrong. That's totally the wrong thing. Totally the wrong thing. That's the list of events. There's a sidebar, isn't it? So sidebar nav list is the whole thing. List item. We'll have a list group. And that will have. Yep, that will render many sidebar nav list items. So what will we then have to give the parent component, does it have to have, I keep thinking of this in terms of React, but like, does it have to have all? Yeah, let's keep going with this, because I'm not sure how the nesting works in view components. So let's see what we bump into. So we have that, and we want a HTML template for that as well. And we are going to want some sass for that as well. Oops. Okay, and this we're going to name these as we name components. Oh, but they don't have component on the end. Can't type this. Ah, can't type this morning. Gold. That's a bit light. Let's do goldenrod because it's a bit orange. Okay, so we know when that will get rendered out, and let's. Yeah, I don't really know what to do about that. And what does the group component have? So the group component is going to have this little I can't remember the semantics of this. That's like a legend. All right. I'm just gonna put div because I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, oh, can't. All right, come on. Let's go and look. Like, I don't think so though. Like, nav group label. Is it label? Grouping related links using the nav element. There we go. That's what we want to do. Oh, I suppose does the nav? Can the nav have a heading? Oh my god, this is one of those things where you just lose half an hour to reading about what you're supposed to be doing. Navigation section element. But what happens if I want to put something in there that's not a link? Ah, here we go. H2. They've put a heading in there. And does a nav represent like a high enough level where it can have its own H1, like a section? Yes. I'm going to say yes, because I don't know the answer. They've put H2 though, implying that that's not... That's not like a section where it suddenly can have its own... Okay, they've put H2, so I'm gonna do what MDN does. But I'm gonna put the list within nav. That within nav. Wait, can I put each group in their own nav, or should the whole of this list item be? Man, this is where I miss being at work and not being able to ask like someone who's literally an expert. And it's like okay, fair enough. Let have group multiple. I'm grouping related links. Is it appropriate to use nav multiple times from 2013? Only groups of primary navigation links. Anything from 2013, that's just not really. 2019? Great. Okay, let's just chuck them all in separate navs. In terms of the sticklers or anything like that, it's not when you're thinking about that stuff. The semanticness of it and for SEO and all that nonsense is not really too important. It's the accessibility stuff that you want to be careful of, and just check that you're getting that stuff right. Just because you can really screw stuff up with that without really realizing it using just non-optimal structuring or whatever. So that's the argument for it. Not like, hey, is it semantically correct? Because that's always just a load of nonsense. Okay, so this is that was my okay. And that's sidebar nav list group. This is going to be heading. Oh, and didn't we find out that we could do this? No, it was wrong, wasn't it? Oh, apologies for the spam on the screen. That's just from Twitch. I still haven't quite worked out how to not have I think it's like people messaging me spam stuff. Okay, so we can't do that, but I thought we had done like here it is. Oh, that's valid here. Ampersand underscore. Ampersand underscore. Oh, have I cocked up somewhere else in the file? What's different? Oops. Is it just that it's empty? So we're gonna do some stuff. Upper spacing. We don't have any relative values or anything, so I'm just going to do it in PX for now. Just this is prototyping, so we just don't have a framework or anything else to use, or any color libraries or anything. So we'll just let's just use purple now, so we can see it. This is a curly bracket. Two of those on there, they shouldn't be there. I'm trying to work out what the difference between what I've done there and here is. I'll bump the font size up as well. That's ampersand underscore underscore thing. Ampersand underscore underscore heading. Does this compile? Will this actually work? Will I get an error here? Seems to work. It's only VS Code putting this out. So okay, so if we now render this, this is we're testing there so we can see it, and then in our sidebar nav list component, so this is sub nav list items. This would now become sidebar nav list groups. Oh man, I'm really like just playing around to see if I'm doing any of this right. And all of this can just get commented out for a second. So then when we pass this list groups, this group, okay. And then when we render it, I hope I'm doing any of this right. Really should take some time to look at some projects really using this in a while. So this is sidebar nav list variant. So this is now group do, and they've still got the block. And then here, right. So this goes back to what does this have to be an array of hashes? So let's get into this. So what can I now pass into this thing? Because I'm now passing in groups of list items. So this is now groups, sidebar nav groups. Which then accepts list of sidebar nav list items. So here, instead of, I'm going about this all backwards, but in a group, let's actually render something else. So we have group name. Let's have this accept. I have no idea if I'm doing this right. Def initialize group name. Okay, and then we can just have that set. Okay. But it also renders sidebar nav list items. Okay. But the group name can be, let's call it group name so we can recognize it. Okay. That can go. That can go, don't need that open, don't need that open, don't need that open. Then we have sidebar nav groups, sidebar nav this group. And then when we render the group, it'll have the group name. And let's not even try and render these out for now. So let's comment these out for now. Will we get the group name spat out at this point? I've probably missed loads of, whoa, we missed loads of stuff here. Sidebar nav group component doesn't exist. Okay, so I've missed something. Oh, sidebar nav list. Oh, is it because it's called a nav list, or is it a list component? Sidebar nav. Why do I need the word list in there? It's just the sidebar nav, but they're list items. Oh, because there is a sidebar nav component. Okay, right. Okay. Oh, fucking, sorry, I'm right. Okay, so there is a sidebar nav component. There is then a nav list component that is just the URL. Actually, don't need that anymore. So now we can go straight to the nav group component, sidebar nav group component, but I've called it sidebar nav list group component. Right, we don't need the word list in there. Just naming things is super fun. So I've got to take list out of there. And I've got to take list out there. So the group, nav group component. And that can go. This can go. And it's it then wouldn't be rendering sidebar nav list item. It'd be rendering a sidebar nav list full of sidebar nav list items. So this would become, it would go, this sidebar nav would be the high level component, highest level component, full of, have a sidebar nav, that's full of groups. Groups are full of, each group has a list, and each list has list items. Oh, they're actually in alphabetical order, which is correct as well. That's good. That's handy. So this is now wrong. So this would be... Oh, that's okay, because this actually doesn't render many. Oh, it could render many, I suppose. But at the moment, it would just have one list of links. I don't know how you render this at the highest level. Okay, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. I'm learning. So we have the groups. Each group will render out a group component. Group component just spits out the group name. When we actually render that on here, have group name, and then can we just not even attempt to render any of this out? No. Right, do we have something with the word group name on it? No. Missing keyword group name. For when we actually render that, so do we have to actually pass that through in the component? What's rendering that? The sidebar nav component. Oh, because there's this content thing that Finian mentioned a while ago. Wait, could we just put... We still need to pass down a list of what's in it. So sidebar nav gets rendered there. That gets spat out as content. So everything in there, it's just like, yeah, spit out. Here, we have render sidebar nav group component. Right, but group name should be there. What's it doing? I've broken it. Oh, Webpacker's doing stuff. Oh, that heading thing really did break it. But it did spit out group name. So, okay, so now we're back to fixing that SAS thing. What is going on there? Oh, does it need to be... No. Like that? Is that what I was missing? No, because the whole point is that just puts the class in. But that's not what we... Oh, that's still not working. Expected... Why can't that be nested within that one? Oh man, I'm really missing something obvious, I feel there. Where's the SAS? I can't see any of these things. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Oh god. That doesn't need to be there. What the hell? Too much staring at the same thing. Right, okay. So we like drifted off of what we're trying to render out versus back into view component stuff, but I'm trying to learn both at the same time, so that's okay. Group name. Group name is the thing we wanted. Right, how do we then say at the highest level where we're actually rendering this? Here. We close everything to the right? Close to the right. But then I see. So here we can then just put content. Right, because we don't need to pass a complex object to because I was kind of thinking you could pass like the user to the high level. Again, I don't know if this is something that actually happens in view component, but you could pass the something like the user or the user permissions or something to the highest level component. It could then define what the user can and can't do in the Ruby file, and then use that to determine whether to render out the. Oh, I guess you can do all of that. You would then just have. So in here, sidebar nav component. Instead of having content, you would have like, right. So there you would have, well, like the user could have worked out that they've got like groups user can see whatever dot each do group. I'm assuming that this would be possible. I'm not going to build this now, and then that would have a group, but then you would also needed to have generated group list items for group that user can see, and then render that out as well. And then you don't need all of the sub items because you're doing everything here because you're relying on the output of the actual logic in the component. Okay. I think I'm seeing different approaches you can take. Whereas what we can do here is just pass the content through because we're happy to render everything at the moment at this high level one here. So we could then have sidebar nav group component can just have content here. Oops. Is this right? Can it just have content here? And then we can go down here. And chuck this in. And let's say we would then only have, so within here we might have the group name as, what did we have? A screenshot, we had people. And in people we had orders, attendees, and groups. Okay, cool. We might then have orders, attendees, groups. I think I've ruined. So then if we go to sidebar nav list component, that doesn't render out groups at all. So this can all just go back to what it was. Don't think I changed any of that. List item didn't change. It's orders, attendees, and groups. Okay. What does that do? Undefined local variable or method sidebar nav list items. Or sidebar nav list component. Nav list component. Because I changed this. Okay, this can change back. Now this might work. Great. Okay, so this is people, and then this is obviously not picking up on the styling correctly. A little group component doodad. The group component doesn't do this anymore. Just accepts a group name. Sidebar nav. Because it's still got list. Yeah. And we've got people, okay. And this needs to change. The nav group would have, oops, the nav item is going to contain that. Yeah, okay. But I think that that should be 100% wide. Does that fix that? What was the thing that was supposed to make this quicker? There's it was like web dev server or something. Yeah, and it was like it was what Finian told me to run the other day. Rails Webpack web dev server. There's some sort of command I'm missing. Oh wait, back up. Oh no, go back. Go back. One. How do you stop Webpack dev server in Rails? That's what I'm looking for. Is that the same one? No. Has it just been, give me the thing I need to run. Webpack dev server. What am I running? Because I thought I ran like a Rails command. Is there a bin stub for it? This is why it just appeared in the chat as if by magic classed. I need bin. Okay, so bin. That's Webpack dev server. Wait, why is that not running then? Good. Did you mean Webpacker verify install? Okay, hang on. I'm just obviously missing. Because they just sped everything up last week. Although that's now ironic because I'm taking so much time to run them. Bin Webpack watch or run.bin Webpack dev server. So you don't run them as bin Rails or anything. Okay. So we just run that. Okay. Great. And now we've got a fancy we've got a fancy navigation. Great. Okay, so let's make this look a bit more polished then. So we're gonna have a color picker. Let's pick some nice colors. I want it to be like quite a faded kind of vibe. Again, you would do something. It'll be uppercase, not upper. And we probably want it to be bold. Oh, again, you work out some details later. Is it too big? No, that's fine. And in the actual... No, because what I was saying is that it could be really cool to have a little VS Code component, whereas a VS Code extension, as you were working on a component, it just grouped the sidecar assets in a little nav here, so you can navigate between them rather than having to have this whole view open, or you'd have to put each one in a folder. It could be cool. It could be like, oh, I've worked out that all of these files are the same name, just with different suffixes or extensions. And here's a little like mini window. That would be cool to build. I've thought of like 2 or 3 cool VS Code components that would really help me. I could get them commissioned to get built. Right, that we want, and we want some spacing on here. So let's just use padding for now. We're not going to do anything major. We are just going to make it nicer. So then, why has orders got a default thing? So we could do list component. Let's just see where that's coming from. That the defaults list item spacing. Oh no, we've obviously added some spacing on list items, so we can turn off that left. That can go. And then on the list item component, that can be oh, that's way better with it happening in real time. That's really cool. But this is too big between them, so that can just go to 10. 10. Oh, actually less than that even. Again, you'd have some sort of system that would make these consistent. Yeah, sure, whatever. We could inset these actually. Let's do this, and let's do another group as well. Just see if we do want to inset them. So what was our next list? Our next group, sorry. Let's just close these down. So we've got people here. And then we had promote. So like I said, we could, I think from the from view component, I don't know what the best practice is. You could presumably pass this or whatever, what it needed to work out which groups to render, and then have that. These are inset incorrectly. And then as I did earlier, like you know, like at groups, and then you would iterate over them. What we're doing here is just not having any logic in this and just using that component as like basically just a styling thing. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to use view component. So we could put logic in there, but we haven't. We're just using it for styling. But if we wanted to, we could just render subbar nav component and pass in, I don't know, I guess a user, or like I said, like their permissions or something that it needed. So we'd have promote. That would be something to look into. Promote marketing and reports. That's just come straight from Eventbrite, I think. We can have trailing comments on those, and then we've got update event. Okay, that's interesting. Update event. We had event details, ticket settings, order settings, see, that's confusing. And then analyze, which is apps and privacy settings. So here you could just have then a group of like settings, I guess. Always feels a bit rough, but it could be like they had privacy settings. Email set, you know, stuff like that. I don't know what it would be. Let's just leave that there for now. So if we refresh this, these are the wrong way around. That is the wrong Flexbox layout for the whatever the parent one of the groups one was, which is the sidebar nav component should be flex direction column. Yes, okay, cool. So we can then also chuck some padding at the bottom of the groups, no margin at the bottom of the groups to separate the item groups out. Again, you would have some sort of variable that was consistent to make sure your spacing was consistent. We can lose, well, we can just comment out to make it toggleable. Great. And we can say that we want our sidebar nav to have little background color and be super light. Give it a hint of a branding color, I think, just so that it's on brand a bit. Oh, that's way too dark. Cool. And then we could lose the shadow from that left-hand side. A bit too similar, I think, to this. Or we could kind of do our own things. So do they have any sub toggles within those? No, because then you're clicking into the page. So as we click on these items, I'd actually make that. Sorry, I'm just actually make that smaller probably, because and lighter, like whatever, probably the lightest the accessibility standard will let me go to make it readable. And also do that thing where it has like ooh, trying to remember the audio arguments for the text shadow one. Just if you've got things in like a colored background like that, like I got light color, I think you can. Sorry, wrong one. You can slightly just lift them with that white. Oops, wrong one. Not actually sure that's the right. Let's set it as red and see if we can see it. Oh yeah, it's there. So can you do this in half pixel increments? Oh, you can. Okay, awesome. No, let's just go down. And this I think is a blur element, so can you do that? Wow, okay, that's super cool. That's pretty soft. And then if we switch this back to white, that might just there a bit. Okay. That's totally unnecessary for what we're actually looking at. It was just purely out of interest. Okay. But again, we could, if we like it, we could lift it out and put it in the actual code that we like later. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, is that just a rendering issue? Okay, so that doesn't freak out if we change. Oh, no, it does freak out. Whatever we have set as sidebar nav, I think it's 100%. That running out of height there? Oh, because the content now overruns, but we've set the height. Oh, okay, so that would be min height. Is that right? So now if we lift that, yep, that should always fill the space is good. Cool. Okay. Yeah, we could change this font. What font is this? We could just start to get some branding on it as well. This is. Oh, it's just the system font. Okay. Because this all looks a bit Tailwindy, but even though I'm not using Tailwind specifically, just because we borrowed. Oh, we have got Tailwind installed because that's what powers this menu. Okay. Fine. We could put a nice cool font over it. I know that like performance-wise, using the system font would be ideal, but in reality, I want to do cool stuff. So we could inset those things. I just want to close everything actually. And we want. If we inset these, does that look good? Not particularly, no. It's just a spacing and size issue. Fine, we can come back to that. So this is fine. So you can already see we're starting to we could even leave these open persistently. They just got so much more that they've had to go to this collapse. But initially, your advantage could be that you've just got less stuff, so you could use this static, and you could even have these toggle as well. So you could keep these groups and have these toggle. That'd be pretty cool. It gets you a lot of context in a fairly small amount of space. That's pretty cool. And then. People is the wrong word for that. So then let's go and build our groups page, because that's really what we're interested in. Let's go build more admin. Build more admin. That's what we want to do. So let's have let's stick it in a folder. No, because then I have to deal with controller stuff in Rails. No, screw that. Let's just do everything at the root level. I don't care enough to do that right now. So let's just have groups. And groups is everything's just event groups. Group. Let's just call it group index actually. Oops. And so we're going to then have group index, and in our event nav, we're going to need to turn these into links. So this is going to be groups, and this is going to go to admin event groups. Again, we don't really care about what this is, but this component now needs to care about href, and that is this list item component. And we care about the Ruby file for that. Oh, path, we already have one. Great, it's not href, it's path. And does it actually use that? List item component has path. Oh, cool. This should be path. Unknown keyword path. List item component doesn't take that. So what? Wait, what did I just look at that did have path on then? What? Wait, what? What did I just looked at a component that took path. What was that? Oh, was it the event list item component? Okay, that makes sense. So we want to do that. I'm coming here. That. That. Link. And then these now work. Yeah, okay, so these all link to nothing apart from groups, which takes us to groups, but groups should have the event nav, which I'm guessing doesn't work without that flexbox container. Yeah, it does work without the flexbox container. So what happens if I now do like groups? Where does that go? Down here. Yep, it does need that container. And that could be in a layout, frankly. Let's just do it here for now, because I don't care enough right now. I don't think that's semantically correct either, but yep, and that gets groups up here. Cool. And then we can, oh, can we just borrow all of this? Probably not all of this. Oh, okay, maybe we do. Yeah, maybe all of this. Okay, so let's borrow all of this for now from the event page and put it in group index. This is groups. Right, okay, so that can, the shadow can go. Oops. All of the metadata can go for now. So that is this, I think. Yeah, and then that is, oh, yeah, I'm actually glad to be not sticking with Tailwind. This is like large MT0, so that's a large viewport, the margin top will become 0. Okay, fine. And then margin left 4. Okay, that's... This is the... I want the flex grow on this one to be 1. And that is this one, flex 1. And this one to be flex. I think that should... Oh, is it because the whole thing isn't 100% wide? Yeah, it's actually not just trying to force its way over. So this should be max width 7XL. Is this like limiting its width in some way? No, not particularly. I just want that to be oh, is it the the main that's not 100%. Okay, that's what I was looking for, because then I want like I don't need publish, so I don't care about this. Just being full of style tags because we're just prototyping it, but that can go, and then publish can go. And then we can have stuff like create group. Yep, and there'd be another icon for that, but I'm sure there's something there, and we don't need view either. And they are also rendering out the menu again on mobile by the looks of things. Yes, here, but I don't think we would need that, so that can all go along with the toggle. And that doesn't need to be hidden. It can just stay the whole time. We would just make it, yeah, we just make them change visual appearance and layout on mobile layouts rather than, I should then jump up to the right. Yeah, okay, cool. So then we've got your, like, item there down the left. Going to, this is groups now. Action over here, and this becomes a list of groups. And again, we would have a component like list group items. So then let's just chuck in. That'd be like admin group list component. An admin group list item component. This good. Like, is that how you would do that? I guess you just, I would have all of these in subfolders, I guess. As this would just become phenomenal. How many components could you end up looking at? You'd be, I mean, let's say you ended up with just a couple thousand, but each one had at least 3 files. So you're looking at 6,000 files. That's a long list. You'd want to group them by folder, I guess. And is that a lot or a little? But if you're in like React component land, you know, you're easily looking at hundreds, thousands without really thinking about it. And there's no overhead to having them. Like, if you're not using them, they're just getting instantiated and only when they're used. But yeah, really interesting to see. Like, I mean, I'm personally interested to see what that is like. Okay, so we now have our groups. I'm just becoming aware of the time. We'd have a list of groups. And then let's... This gets us... So this starts to unlock our complexity. So let's say we have a list of groups. We click in and we see... What do we see within a group? A list of orders or a list of attendees? A list of attendees. So you've got an order with 3 attendees. And maybe you mandate that each order has to be for one group. But then you get a phone call and they're like, hey, can you move Jane to another group? Yep, no problem. So each attendee can then be individually moved between each group. So when seeing the group, you would need to see a list of attendees and the order and for each one, the ability to get to the order through which they were created. So after the order is created, you've broken that link between the order and the group. And a group is just... Oh, it's just like it doesn't have any logic, but it would. It could have like maximum capacities. So you've got all of the concurrency issues around like you're moving someone between groups, but someone's currently making an order that's got 4 people being added to the group. So they need to have been allocated to that group at the point at which the order is started. And then maybe you do that thing where they get like a 10 minutes countdown or timer or something like that. So they're temporarily allocated to the group. The order isn't completed. The allocation gets like unlocked. There's like it's a temporary allocation. The allocation gets taken away. You could then make the move. You could then import someone into that group or move someone into that group, but you would somehow need to see in the admin UI, let's say that you could have a maximum group size of 10. There are 7 people in it, so you know there are 3 slots. You want to move someone in, but at that point someone is making an order for 3 people to join that group. If you did it by putting temporary allocation, you need to reflect that in the UI in some way. Certainly on the error message that they got if they tried to add someone. Okay, yeah, that's super cool to kind of start to link into the complexity of then like disassociating the attendees from the order, from the like amount being paid for the order. And remember, the order is just the actual process of paying for a bunch of tickets. You've then got one of the things that from the hierarchy that we've missed out of that description is ticket type. And are the groups that we looked at in Eventbrite were per ticket type. So let's say you've got what's a good example for this? A fun run, I guess. So like like a fun run would have maybe a group for pro runners and they go an hour earlier than everybody else. And their tickets are slightly more expensive or whatever. Then you've got normal family tickets. The pro runners don't, let's say the pro runners do have groups because they run in teams or whatever, but also the family ticket type also has groups. Can you, or presumably you then can't move people between groups of different ticket types. So all groups are within a ticket type. I think. That would be super interesting to look at. Didn't we look at that in the order form options for Eventbrite stuff? So I didn't get to that granularity of complexity when working on this problem before because we didn't allow it. We basically just blocked that complexity further up. We just didn't allow them to configure that. So group registration. Allow our attendees to register as part of a group, and that is activated for that ticket type. So how many ticket types have we got? General, none. Okay, so let's add tickets. So let's have, these ones are going to be called Pro Runners. Available quantity, there are 100 of them, and they are £20. Everything else we don't care about right now. Then we have family tickets. There are also 100 of those, but they cost £10, okay? So that's all fine as well. This is going to be, just to remind ourselves, the pro runners are in teams. Cool. So go back to our order options. This is in Eventbrite. So again, this was handled differently in other... that's kind of annoying. Oh, God, that's really fucking annoying. Great. Okay, so then group Edit team registration. Prime runners can have team registrations. No, they can have team registrations, but it's not required. Okay, so then let's save that. Because if you remember, there was no link once the order had been made in the admin UI. You didn't administrate teams at any point. That was then handed over to users, basically. So that's a difference between what we're looking at here and like what we're looking at building versus what we're looking at in Eventbrite. So let's take a look at. So because we now have options that can happen as an individual, only the ticket types that allow individual will take place. And as a team member, there was one called like Max's team or something, wasn't there? Yep. Continue. So I can buy 2 tickets for that and 2 tickets for that, all as part of the same team. So in Eventbrite, the team, all of these people would be on the same team. Right, okay. Which you wouldn't always want to happen from some of the events that we've run. We would want we would want to force these people to be in teams, but you can't also have people in this ticket type to be in the same team. They would need to be grouped in their own set of teams. I go to checkout. Group you're registering for doesn't have enough available spaces. Okay, fine. Wait. What? Two of those. They both had 100 spaces, didn't they? Group you're registering for. Okay, that's interesting. And I can't customize the ticket per team either. Let's say we want to find out. Let's not put address because that takes ages. Oh, okay. We have to use that because we're using that payment process. Okay, fine. We also want to find out website. And I didn't. Oh, I forgot to check what the 1 of 100, 1 of 100, or 0 of 100. Sorry. As a team member, so why was it telling me there aren't enough? Oh, because the team size would be exceeded. Because the team size. Right, okay, so maximum attendees per group is 5. And that's across all ticket types. So for the events that we've run in the past, having these options on a per ticket type basis would be more beneficial than the way that Eventbrite does it, which is at the highest level. So let's put 0 needs no maximum, so that's fine. We won't bump into that issue again. Join Max's team. Continue. We're on that team with this ticket. Oh no, not that one. We're on this team with that ticket type and this ticket type, 2 of each. Then when we check out, we have to fill in the form for all 4 tickets. One, 2, 3, 4. Why isn't it asking for website? I thought I had asked for that. Oh, did I not save? Okay, fine. Because I was interested to see collect attendee information on the following tickets, but you have, again, the fields you're doing are not per ticket type. So if we do put in website and then hit save and then refresh this, that we like, does that change our order journey halfway through? Or does it just drop us out if we try and refresh? Yep. Okay. You're just like, no, thank you. There's no, you don't go back to the journey. Okay, fine. That's interesting. So presumably, like I'm guessing this is like in React or whatever, everything about your config and setting has been piped in at the start of this. I don't know, maybe if we'd gone back and forward, maybe it would have started asking. I don't know. Okay, so now it's payment. Details for the order, fine. 1, 2, so website. Right, so everything is now not per ticket type. There's the groups and teams and the forms. And that is not the way that people wanted to run events previously, because they wanted to lock people into teams at certain ticket types. So you could be like, oh, well, you're the corporate teams, but how would you build it so that they could do it one way or the other? That they could force that to happen at the ticket type. So in the admin UI then, here when we're actually going to a... Oops, that's main, so that's kind of like our heading area here. So here would be like what's going on here? Is there some dodgy HTML that it's not picking up on like auto complete and stuff like that? There's obviously something that's like a tag that's not been closed or something. That's annoying. Yeah, look, these spans. That span shouldn't be in there. What is this now? There's probably more of those because autocomplete is still not happening. Div. There's definitely more missing HTML somewhere. Seeing if I can spot it. No, not very well. But here it would be, oh my God, that's so annoying. Right, whatever. Ticket type 2. What the hell? Oh wait, it was working, but there was just a major lag in the I think this one. It's ticket type 1, ticket type 2, and then in here. Okay, that's now gonna kick in at some point and complete that div. I think that just VS Code is freaking out. Then there's a dog being yelled at in my neighbor's garden. So then here we would have group 1. Yeah, that's fine. And then here you'd have like, oh, God, this is really annoying. So then this would be group 2. Okay, something has completely broken. So then we have group 1 and group 2. And you couldn't move people between the groups if they didn't have the same ticket type, which sounds really painful as well. Okay, that's super interesting to think about for next time. So we've got this notion of you come into your events, you go to the event, you go to look at the groups. In Eventbrite specifically, the grouping is not done at the ticket type level, and you can't restrict, nor is the order form information. So like collecting different fields per ticket type. Let's see if there are like apps or something that do that. So Eventbrite, different fields for ticket type. Nothing specific. Maybe you can do it, and I'm just not spotting how. Or maybe there's like, if you have fancy pants Eventbrite, like optional extras or whatever. Okay, so could we have something where we do the same thing, where we by default the ticket types are per, sorry, by default the groups are per ticket type, and so are the fields. So that opts for the more complex option. So, because in that case you would go to ticket settings, and then you'd have to have a field per ticket type. So let's say you wanted to add, for each field you added, you'd have to say which ticket types you want this to appear on. How? Yeah, it just makes all your UI, just makes everything more complicated. Okay, fine. Then when you're managing your groups, if you're viewing them per ticket type like this, how would you ever be able to move someone from group 1 to group 2? Because they had only, let's say they'd signed up. So ticket type 1 is, what do we call them? Pro runners teams. Okay, let's call them that. So this is pro runners teams, and the other one is family tickets. Got crap everywhere from autocomplete kicking in. So the autocomplete is running, but has just completely crapped out because of VS Code. So that's fine. So those are our group types of the, whoops, refresh this. So I'm part of a pro running group, and I'm part of group 1, which is my super cool running club team. I then get a call from my family, which is like, actually, hey, we're taking part. Do you not want to do a fancy pro run? Why don't you come and just run with us? There's 4 of us or whatever. And so you're like, oh, well, actually, I've already paid, but I'm happy to be moved, and maybe I want the refund, maybe I don't, but can I go from group 1 to group 2 even though I don't have a family ticket? I think ideally the answer would be yes. I think like the goal that I would look for is the ultimate flexibility, because people don't care. Like on the day, you want people to be able to move people around. But then some organizations will care very much about the finance reconciling. So like having a rule that whether you can do that or not, but it would also affect this UI as to whether you moved people, whether you showed the groups being per ticket type or not. Because they can't move themselves between these groups, but maybe you can as an admin. Okay, that's super interesting. And then within, you would then click into, so let's create an actual view group. So let's just have, and inside here, group. Then group would have, this would be like Max's team. And actually maybe on the index that could be, but that could be a link to that page, which is admin event group. And here you would have like edit group, but you would have group members, you'd have like Max and Bob. And you wouldn't have this final one. Let's see if that works at all. Groups, Max's team, then you're inside Max's team. Create group, edit group. And for these users, you would then want to have like order 2, 3. Maybe Bob join the group separately. His might be 4, 5, 6. And that would click you through to the orders section. You would want to be able to move. I'm just thinking what you'd want to be able to do with them. So you'd want to be able to move them. Remove them. You'd want to add someone else into the group. Need to be a UI for that somehow. So you'd have move and remove. These are just dummy buttons. Again, I mean, you could have a long list and do it like drag and drop between them if you made it flexible enough. But the group has nothing to do with the price they, at this point when you're adminning here, it's nothing to do with the price they paid or anything like that. That's all at the order level, which is, and it's the order that has the finances attached to it. And like, where do you do the logic around like how many people can be in each group and things like that? Because you've got to worry about that here. You might, again, you might want to add 3 people to this group here, or create an order that added 3 people to the group, perhaps. Either way, but there might already be someone ordering who's already trying to add them to this team. Yeah, I like a lot of that stuff. I like it being per ticket type as well. That fits with a lot of events that we did. But I think you would also want to be able to do it Eventbrite's way, where it's like, it doesn't matter. Your teams are just like loose groupings of people and they can do it however they want. How would we manage that setting? But I think in the UI, we don't need to care about that right now. My way has been going nearly 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap up for the day. Yeah, hopefully this is still useful for people. Let me know if it is or isn't. It's super useful for me because I'm going to build this application out. So I'm just doing planning for it. And yeah, we are just going to keep going with the admin UI. Again, I'm going to try and get something done that's not, we don't have to wait a week for, but to be honest, things are pretty up in the air here, so who knows what is going on. And if I don't see you beforehand, I will see everybody this time next week, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. And have a wonderful week wherever you are, whether you're watching this later or whether you watch it live. Yeah, have a great time, and I will see you later.